big direct DI, not even my Viper DI. But the speed with the capturing of ideas, and the ability to evaluate so many things so quickly, got just this incredible creative flow you just can't get with trying to be, precious with shit.
Yeah, I think we're engineers tend to be way too OCD. We have like the gold standard of like the Steely Dan records and stuff, and we're just trying to do that, and it's just not the way. Very often when you're with an artist and you just need to get creative really fast.
That's to me, like, I certainly can record shit at the highest level. I record it at the fastest level. and deal with the consequences later. But I've also set up my production and recording environment such that I'm kind of set up to generally capture everything. So
do your sessions look like a total mess and like you're like spending time cleaning it up later, or do you have it kind of set up so it's organized while you're capturing like the magic?
My DAW or my studio?
Both.
Yeah.
I guess I was more specifically asking about the DAW, but yeah.
DAW, it's a good question. I did a writing session with AJ Smith on Monday. He's a brilliant independent artist. The control room started getting crowded throughout the day with different, microphones and keyboards and guitars and basses and things. So, I tend to just kind of leave instruments up and plugged in or plug-inable very quickly, all over the place. If it's going to be a heavy guitar day, then the pedal board will be out and, things like that. And then the DAW, that's always a different thing. It depends on, if it's just a vocal day, then I'll cut vocals to a 2-track but I cut vocals really old style. I don't playlist or anything like that. But the guy that taught me how to comp vocals is Mike Stone, who recorded Bohemian Rhapsody. And
can't get better stacking vocals than that, right?
No.
That's the gold standard.
Yeah, I got to assist and do some engineering for Mike Stone on a Foreigner album back in the 90s.
Wow.
And at the time, they were comping Foreigner's vocals, and he basically taught me what he was doing and how he was doing it and what he was listening for. And then he gave me a comp sheet, or he told me how to make comp sheets, and I made them. And then I passed them out to everybody, and he's like, "Why didn't you take one?" I'm like, should I? He's like, "Yeah, I want your picks too." And everybody in the room, from Lou Gramm to Mike Stone, to Mark Ronson's dad, everybody kind of made their vocal notes
choices
on a line per line. Yeah. And we went through them all. And every now and then, when there was like a tiebreaker, Mike would just look over and he'd be like, "What do you think, Ken?" I'd be like, that's Lou Gramm and Mike Stone, and I'm a 24-year-old, kid basically, and surreal moments, man. I've had some really lucky times in the studio working with some really incredible people. One of the other, just while I'm talking about Mike Stone for a second, one of my favorite things about Mike Stone was that he really tried to bring you into his world, probably selfishly. And what I mean by that is, like, he would tell me, so we would set up for a mix for that day, and he would be like, "Okay, here's the 2 reverbs that I want. You pick 2 more." And he was always like, he would always challenge you to do things. He was always like, this vocal, what would you put on it? Or, things like that. And it's not like he would use it half the time, but sometimes he would, and I think for him, the lesson was that, other people, and especially young people, could teach him things that would keep him fresh and growing. And for me, it felt like I belonged more, which was great.
Yeah, he empowered you.
Right. And I was like, holy shit, Mike Stone is letting me engineer. I got to fucking punch. So I recorded Lou Gramm for like 2 straight hours. Mike Stone never asked me if I knew how to punch vocals. This is in the old analog days, where if you punch in and you miss it, it's gone forever. And I probably did 400 tight punches that day on Lou Gramm and never missed a one. And that was just the most insane day. There's just some sessions that just really vault you forward as far as experience go, and that album certainly did. That was
Wow.
Wish I could have
It's
done that 20 times in a row.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's so interesting how like that mentorship thing happened back in the day. It's so much different now, right? Like it's like on the internet, you're doing mixing night, which is like a great way for people to kind of get in on what you're doing. Although I do feel like there's probably nothing that really replaces the real thing, but I guess we have to work with what we got,
Yeah, I mean, mixing night is. I'm a real kind of Dave Pensato proponent, and I've always
Love
been
Dave
really.
Pensato.
Yeah, I mean, he's the king. But one of the things that I've always admired most about him is his willingness to just be really free and open with his information. And that kind of was a big inspiration early on in me setting up Audio School Online, and then further with Mixing Night. And with Mixing Night, I'm just like, it's a free show. I don't monetize it. It's 2 hours every 2 weeks. It's Wednesday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, youtube.com/Mixing Night. And it's a live stream from the studio, and I absolutely throw down. I mean, it's like, but I look at it as like it's Howard Stern for studio people. So if you will, for me, it's entertainment first and then everything else second. What I really want to foster is a sense of, when everybody's been through a really hard week of sessions, they've got Mixing Night to look forward to, just 2 hours to just chill out, kick back with a beer or a glass of wine, be with, their online community of friends. I mean, our community is really fantastic, and just be among great like minds for 2 hours and just forget about the shit of the week, or celebrate the week. If you had a great week, the chat roll is exactly the place where you want to tell them, because the community is just super supportive. We have like a Discord channel set up I think we have over 3,000 people on the Discord Mixing Night channel now.
Wow.
And it's a great free exchange of ideas. We have an incredible free thread where we just post up. It's a curated free thread. So it's not just a bunch of crap free stuff. It's actually stuff that is like really usable. And so, and I'm always just trying to go the extra mile to, make sure that people who wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn otherwise have some place to go. And
well, it's super like hands-on and like real information. It's like pulling up I was watching some of the most recent one where you're just pulling up a pull tech and saying like, hey, watch how this 100 hertz also bumps up like 500 hertz. And it's like, and then when you say it like that, and then you're actually listening for that, you really understand how much that pull tech is doing on the stereo bus, right? It's like, and so sometimes having just like something as basic as that is just so informative for somebody who's like kind of just up and running.
And I think I've become very good at, because I founded Audio School Online in 2011. So I've been kind of somewhat mentally in the teaching space. I'm not a teacher per se, but I've been somewhat mentally in the teaching space since then. And before then, I would do a lot of industry panels and things like that. And just like with sports and making records and everything else, like you get better at the delivery method. So what I think, especially with Mixing Night, because we're on our like 50th show now, I can't even believe we're cranking them out.
Amazing.
But your brain starts prioritizing what's important to say and what's not important to say, and how to very easily get your ideas across in a way that somebody can go like, oh, I can do that. Shit. Wow. I want everybody to have at least 1 or 3 wow moments in every broadcast minimum. And, but my favorite part of the broadcasts has become the beat challenges, because I serve up these royalty-free starters, right? You can do whatever you want with it. I don't care. And if you love what you do, you can enter it for the beat contest, and I usually go out and find insane prizes. But the level of submissions that I get back for every beat challenge, every 2 weeks we do this, and it's like dozens of full songs. I mean, there's
Wow.
just, beats too, but even a lot of the beats are like really thought out and structured. And, a lot of like the early people who are just getting like at the beginning of their learning are submitting more, basic stuff, but that's the point of it. It's like everybody can grab hold of this, and the community is super supportive, and everybody kind of hears where everybody else is at, and it gives you a sense of like, oh. And the other amazing thing about the Beat Challenge is it shows you that there is no right and wrong to creativity, because every show I serve up a starter and it goes in 20 different directions, and all of them are so fucking dope. And I play, like, I do kind of like a curated DJ style playlist of like my top 10 or 12 favorites. And it's like, somebody will take it in a country lane, somebody else will go trap, somebody will go EDM on the same starter. And you're like, oh, I get it. So production is really what I want it to be. It's not there's not some formula to it. The formula is I've just got to make something that really connects with people. And how do I do that? And the Beat Challenges are a great place to practice that. And it's been fascinating to see the whole process, and it's become the thing that we didn't know that we needed, and now we desperately need it. So.
It's so cool. First of all, it's so cool just to see like the maturation of internet learning.
Yeah.
As a decade ago when I was getting started, it was just gear sluts, and you didn't know if you were going to get like ripped on if you made if you said, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this microphone," and you don't know what you're going to hear from people.
It's still like that.
There are nice communities now, Mixing Night, and there's some others, where it's just like, hey, like let's be supportive of each other and foster a community, like you said, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, they are really just a great bunch of people. And anybody out there listening, check out the show, jump on the chat roll, and check out the Discord channel, jump in, join a Beat Challenge. Man, they are just so much fun. For me, I have the most fun.
Yeah, you could see that you're having fun. I was going to say, like, you could see that you're having a blast.
I get to judge these things, and I get to be the guy that realizes that I was the starter for all of these insane different creative directions. I mixed somebody submitted a beat, or a full song actually, and I loved the song for the Beat Challenge, but the mix was not very good. And so I asked the guy, I think it was Christian Murith, if he would mind if I mixed his song live on air, so I could show methods of how to improve a user work. And so I'm showing my own high level work as well, but I already know how to make things sound great. So if I can take user work as well and go like, oh, you did this, if you had done that this way, then it would be this much better. So I'm doing a lot of that kind of stuff live now, but the guy, he submitted 94 tracks song for a Beat Challenge. 94 tracks. 94. And that's not uncommon for my group. That's the insanity.
Yeah.
You can tell I got a bunch of people who are just hobbyists who just love doing it and love being in the community and having fun. And you can tell I got a lot of killers who are like, I'm going to rule this industry someday. So
yeah, it's empowering people also, like even if their mixing chops aren't there, production chops don't necessarily take as long, because a lot of it's just like what you know and love and what you can make. The kind of more technical mixing side of things, maybe that takes a bit longer, but like just to even start with production, that's like amazing. You know?
I think the very best mixing lesson that I ever teach on my show is the opening segment each time, which is a sprint mix. And the sprint mixing segment is, so in a nutshell, if you don't know what sprint mixing is, I take a full mix that maybe I spent 8 or 10 hours on, say 150 track song. When I'm finished, my client approves it, then I stem it down to 30 mixed stems. And then I have my assistant completely randomize the volumes on those 30 mixed stems. Then I put all faders down and I set the clock for 10 minutes. And at the end of 10 minutes, I have the very best rough mix that I can possibly make. And I just have to figure the puzzle out. And you got to use your instincts, and you got to forget about the technology, and you can't focus on plugins. You have to focus all of your brain power on what's coming out of the speakers and how